Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Spot Connection with my review of Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. First, I actually really intended initially to do a review of Maleficent, a retro review, but I didn't. Quick version: Sleeping Beauty from the eyes of Maleficent, and um, actually kind of going more into who Maleficent was and why she cursed Aurora, so on and so forth. And it's actually pretty decent. In fact, I usually am not too fond of movies that try to, or stories in general, that try to take an established villain and then shift them into being sympathetic. It's annoying, to say the least, in my opinion. But I thought this one did a good job of by showing, yeah, she actually has some good, well, here's actually some good reason, and an interesting world, hey, there. So yeah, I figured, that most the scene will be pretty decent. So let's talk about that then, shall we? So, uh, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil is about, excuse me, Maleficent and Aurora dealing with dealing with various events that have sprung out of Aurora, Sleeping Beauty, accepting a marriage proposal from Prince Philip. Also, we learn more about Maleficent, not so much her past, so much as her people. Quick takes. It was actually, sadly, kind of predictable. I mean, don't get me wrong. One of the major, yeah, Maleficent's, kind of one of the big twists and upending of things from the story of Sleeping Beauty. Yeah, I saw that one coming from a mile away. The fact that it was Maleficent's kiss that woke her, not Prince Philip. I saw that coming, and I thought, okay, that was nicely done. I honestly, in a lot of ways, it feels like they tried to, in preparation for this, that the writers just watched a bunch of Game of Thrones and said, okay, so family friendly version of some of this stuff, and yeah, I mean, it's not terrible, but yeah. So the cast of the note, we've got Angelina Jolie as Maleficent, one of the most recognizable Disney villains ever, if not one of the most recognizable villains. Not as villainous as the Sleeping Beauty story and various versions of the Sleeping Beauty story would have us believe, though. Elle Fanning as Aurora, Sleeping Beauty, and as of the end of the first Maleficent movie, Queen of the Moors. Harris Dickinson as Prince Philip, Crown Prince of a human kingdom that borders the Moors, has been in love with Aurora for the past 5 years. Michelle Pfeiffer as Queen Ingrid, Prince Philip's mother, not overly fond of the folk of the Moors. Sam Riley as Diaval. Sam Riley as Diaval. Yeah, there we go. Maleficent's most trusted and loyal servant, servant, advisor, spy, whatever he's needed to be. He's also actually a crow, but she's able to turn him into a human. And, yeah, or whatever else she wants to turn him into. Next up, we got Chiwetel Ejiofor, and I'm almost certain I have horribly mispronounced that. Sorry. As Connell. Connell is one of the leaders of the Dark Fae, Maleficent's people. And he's actually interested in pursuing peace with humanity. Ed Skrein as Bora, another prominent member of the Dark Fae. He, unlike Connell, however, he's in favor of war. Robert Lindsay as King John, father of Prince Philip, husband of Queen Ingrid, and he's also in favor of peace with the folk of the Moors, and presumably also the Dark Fae, by extension, at least. David Gyasi as General Percival, really commander of King John's military forces. Doesn't trust the folk of the Moors. Jen Murray as Gerda, advisor to Queen Ingrid. Seems to have talents in various areas. Metalworking. She's an organist. She's also seems to be fairly adept for the sharpshooter. She also shares the Queen's prejudices. And she steals every single scene she's in. Like, you know that she makes a point of being there. You kind of, oh, okay, yeah. The character is kind of the way the way she steals the scenes makes her presence more important than it really truly is. But she's still a fairly prominent character. All right, so break down the movie. So the movie begins with some thieves going into the moors to kidnap some of the mystical folk. It's never really at that point. It's not so much why, but one of them manages to pull it off and delivers the captured critter to the castle, as well as a glowing flower. Anyways, so later, presumably the next day, but yeah, Prince Philip has basically worked with a bunch of the folk of the Moor to arrange for Aurora to basically end up right there, right at a certain point, and he asks her to marry him. She accepts. Diabol then passes this along to Maleficent. Maleficent's not happy, but Aurora just, hey, look, I love him, he loves me. Deal with it. Philip tells his parents yes, yeah, they said yes, and they said, hey, we should have Aurora over for dinner. We should meet her. And Queen Ingrid asks, in fact, we should also have her godmother come. Get to know the woman who raised our soon-to-be daughter. And the king thinks it's a great idea. The dinner goes horribly wrong. And the king is seemingly cursed by Maleficent before she and Diabol escape. While Diabol manages to return to the moors, Maleficent is shot with an iron slug by Gerda and falls into the sea before being rescued by Connell, one of the Dark Fae. So this is kind of when we get our diverging primary. This is when we basically get secondary plot line. So Maleficent's plot line is that she has been taken. Connell has taken her to a safe haven where the rest of the Dark Fae, her people, live, and she learned about the past as well as the origins of her powers. Meanwhile, Queen Ingrid, who has come into possession of a means of killing folk of the Moors, she's insistent that the wedding go on, and she's of course treating Aurora as a daughter and doting on her, but she's basically laying a trap to killed the folk of the Moors. Maleficent and Bora, one of the other Dark Fae, discover that the Queen's men have picked all of the glowing flowers seen earlier, which it turns out grow on the graves of the Fae to make her weapon. So the two of them are attacked by some of the soldiers that were basically waiting to, just in case they do show up, be here to attack. However, Connell saves them, and the trio escape. As the wedding draws near, the folk of the moor prepare to attend, as they've been invited. More of their presence has been demanded, but they're like, oh, we've been invited to a wedding. Oh my! And they're walking right into a trap. While that's going on, Bora convinces most of the Dark Fae to attack the kingdom, while Connell's wounds are tended to. The wedding itself then becomes the stage for the film's climax, final battle. Motives are revealed and actions properly accredited to those who did them. So the ups and downs of the movie. This is actually something I thought I had with the first one too. Is that some really good effects shots and a good portion of the CG actually meshes really well with the actors. The cast is fairly solid, though they're doing you can tell they're doing the best they can with what they got. I felt that Angelina Jolie, Ed Skrein, and Geoffrey, the three of them especially, were great. The movie's first act, on the downside, the movie's first act very plainly sets up so much stuff from the climax of the movie. Like, they may as well have said a line. There are so many points where they say a line and everyone may as well have stopped, looked right at the camera, and then just go. What I said about how some of the cast did the best they could with what they had to work with. Michelle Pfeiffer is the clearest representation of this, because it seems like she was trying so hard to be a Disney version of Cersei Lannister. And like I had mentioned earlier in the review, the movie as a whole seems to be trying to be a Disney interpretation of Game of Thrones. Basically, imagine if someone said, "Hey, yeah, told George R. R. Martin, yeah, we'll take your story, make a movie out of it, a movie, yes, a movie, and it's gonna be rated PG." The plot overall is actually kind of bland. Admittedly, with the exception of Maleficent's subplot in Act 2. That was actually kind of interesting, and it's kind of the whole idea. It furthers it. It adds to this. It actually adds to everything in a much better manner than the rest of the movie. And I wasn't the biggest fan of the fairy godmothers in Maleficent, but at least they were amusing. Here they're just annoying. Just insufferably annoying. And yeah, I could have done without them. I know they're an important part of the story, but, or at least of Disney's version of it, but ugh, yeah. So overall, I kind of felt this just a really bland sequel that can't help but telegraph almost the entirety of its third act while trying so hard to be something that it's very much not. I would not exactly give this a glowing. I would not entirely recommend this. To be brutally honest, there are better movies, better ways to spend a couple hours with the time. Rating, I gotta give it 2.5. I'll put the first one at about a 3, maybe a 3.5 even, but second one, 2.5 almost feels charitable. So anyway, that's it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal you can find in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.